Welcome back to For the Love of Men. My name is Courtney Shand, and I'm hosting with my friend Brianna Mosier. And the intention of the podcast is to bring together men and women in harmony and help them honor each other's masculine and feminine core to create healthy, polarized relationships.
Yes.
So, Bri, real quick, for the people that don't know you, tell us who you are and what you do.
Yes, my name is Bri. I work with mostly female entrepreneurs to help them scale their soul-led businesses through embracing their feminine energy whilst also attracting in healthy, empowered masculine partners. That is my magic in the world. And I also work with spirit and do all the mystical channeling things and things like that as well. So that is my magic. What is your magic, Courtney?
Yes. I help men and women find healthy partnerships by really empowering their own masculine energy, learning when to rely on it, how to trust it, how to speak to it in someone else so that you can really create stable, healthy connections with everyone in your life.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
You guys, we are sitting here and Courtney has made us delicious margaritas. We always have a drink when we record. I don't know if we've shared that with them.
Yeah, I don't think we have.
I also have Callie on my lap. I love her.
Yeah. Callie's my cat.
She's
adorable. She's a little Siamese, and she's just the sweetest dog-like cat.
Yeah, she really is. I'm not typically a cat person.
No one ever is.
I have a really adorable dog named Ollie. And yeah, I mean, Callie is mostly like a dog. Like, I walked in today and Callie pranced over to greet me at the door. She's basically a cat dog.
Everyone that comes over, I was not a cat person at all. So yes, she won me over, and everyone that comes over says, I'm not really a cat person. And I say, you just wait. And by the time they leave, they're like, oh my gosh, I love her.
Yeah.
I know.
She's a little queen.
I know.
So we're having the margs. We were snuggling Callie.
Yeah.
Having snacks. And we want to do an episode for men because you know that we love the masculine and we want the masculine to win. We love the feminine also, and we want the feminine to win. But this episode's for men on how to help women open to you. Open in all the ways, emotionally, spiritually, in the bedroom.
Yeah, they're all tied together.
Mm-hmm.
And the things that we've come up with actually do fit into all of those categories. And I love that because no matter where you're at in your relationship journey, if you're further into your relationship and wanting to deepen that, if you're relatively new, if you're still finding your person or finding a partner, these tools can still be really helpful. Mm-hmm. Not as manipulation, just want to preface that. They're not dating strategies. We just want to give you a new vantage point to approach things. And
understanding women.
Yes.
Yeah, totally. As always, Courtney and I speak from cisgender heterosexual. That's what we know. And I think it's important we preface that too. And I love that you said this isn't manipulation, because it's really not. It's about teaching you how to understand the woman that you love and what she needs. Yeah. And this is from the standpoint of you are a good-hearted man who is wanting to build partnership with this woman. This is not getting her to open so that you can manipulate her and all the things. And we trust that if you're listening to the show, that is not who you are, but we can't really control that.
No.
You know?
Yeah.
So use these practices and understandings with love and care and compassion.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Point number 1.
Yeah. So how to help a woman to open.
Yeah.
Do you want to go first?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I personally feel like it all boils down to the 3 needs of the feminine. I think this is a good place to start.
Yep.
So the 3 deepest desires of the feminine are to be heard, to be seen, and to feel safe. To be heard means you're hearing her thoughts, her voices, her emotions, her opinions. You're hearing her.
Her needs, her desires, her complaints.
And validating her in them. To be seen, to me, feels like you're seeing how she bees in the world. What is her work? What is her essence? What lights her up? What makes her happy? What would you add to that, to be seen?
I think this is kind of a deeper layer of hearing. I think this is like to see someone on an emotional level, to see what they're experiencing. Usually feminine energy can be very animated. So you might literally see the expression on her face, or this, like posture that she has in her body that lets you know she's happy or calm or whatever it is, or pouty or whatever. And that's really tricky. That takes a lot of work for women to be that transparent. So I think to be seeing someone is really to see what they're not actually communicating. Not like you have to guess. You shouldn't have to, play guessing games with your partner. But that desire for her to be seen is really to be like her authenticity to be seen.
Yes. Oh, okay. Great clarity. I typically feel the most seen when I'm complimented or acknowledged about little things like, I love your laugh, or I love your work, or this post that you wrote is brilliant, or I like the way that your mind works.
Yeah.
Those sort of things are beyond hearing me. That's like seeing my essence and my soul and my value and who I am.
Yeah. The things that are unique to you.
Right.
Yeah. The way that you impact the whole world, or the room, or whatever it is.
Yeah. You're just seeing the way that she bees in her essence. And to feel safe, which is so important. It's really, you're leading the container. You're creating structure in the container and safety with her, which might mean a title on the container. It might mean reassuring her that you're not going anywhere. What else would it look like?
I think safety, like in my experience, is very physical. It's very visceral to feel safe with someone. I think those things are definitely like emotional safety. Sometimes women, we need a new level of safety of like, I need for this to actually have a title, or I need for this to feel a certain way, to feel contained, to open up. But for me, when I think of feeling safe, it's not just like walking on the outside of the street. It's like you have a calm enough presence that I don't feel like I'm going to be attacked, or like or called out, or there's a safety feeling in that way too, that your body will react around someone else and how they're showing up. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Like, when you open your heart to him, he's going to hear you and validate you, which is creating emotional safety. Really, all of these things play into each other.
Yeah.
It's interesting because when I think safety, I think the container of the relationship, and I'm trusting you to lead, and you're creating safety in that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And physical safety, of course. That's just an ancestral wound for women. So it really all boils down to, Courtney and I were talking before the show, if a woman's not opening to you, it's likely because one of these needs is not being met. She's not feeling seen, she's not feeling heard, or she's not feeling safe. And that will lead to her being closed. So we want to set you up with understanding that and helping her to open.
Yeah. And just a little added nuance, not to add confusion, but we're giving you the part that you can control, because some of that is going to be on her.
Yeah.
She also has to be able to feel and create this sense of being safe and heard and seen.
Yes.
Internally. That's not on you.
Yes.
So we're just giving you the part that you do have some control over, so that you aren't as confused by the whole situation.
100%. So. Yeah, it's still a woman's job to disarm her heart.
Yes.
And let you in. You could do all of these things, and if this woman has a very wounded masculine shell and is determined to not let you, she will not let you in. There's nothing you can do.
You will not win.
Right. She has to make the decision. So operating under the assumption that this woman wants to open, and we want to show you how you can support her. Yeah.
Which that actually is a really great point, is to assume good intent. Same thing that we tell women, like for men to assume that she wants to be open with her, with him. To think about it, I would imagine to think about it from that way would probably open up just some gut level, like, if I know she needs to feel safe, like, are we in a physically safe space? Like, is there something I can do just by thinking about, what can I do? Yeah.
Should we start with safety?
Yeah.
I feel like that's where it is.
I think that's kind of like in the concentric circles, that's the thing that has to happen first. Yeah, I love that. So when it comes to safety, and I love that you brought up that there's like multiple layers to this. There's like a visceral reaction happening for her that's letting her know if she's safe or not. There's a emotional safety component that like, is my heart safe? If I were to reveal more, is he going to judge it or attack it or squish it or invalidate it or whatever it is? And then there's also the container itself, like the space that you're creating between the two of you, the relationship itself, where you're holding some space for her to feel like she can relax and let down her guard.
Perfectly said.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the safety has to be in place first.
Agreed.
Any ideas of how men create safety in your experience?
Oh, totally. So emotional safety, for me, if I'm not feeling safe, what I would need is reassurance, like verbally, and it might be different for the woman that you're dating or you're with. So it's important you have a conversation with your woman and ask her, you know, really as blatant as, when I feel you closing down, what can I do to support you? It really gets to be that easy, guys. If you ask that question, she's going to be like, wow. And probably, I would guess, she's never thought about it.
Right.
So I would give her a beat or a few days even to think about it and get back to you. This is a conversation I've had before, so I can verbalize to someone what I need from you when I start to close down, or what would feel really generous and supportive is if you could just tell me that you love me and you're not going anywhere and you're noticing I'm closing down. How are you feeling? That's it. And then pause and let there be space, because my feeling in my body is like closing up. My throat closes, my stomach twists when we're in a vulnerable moment. So for someone to just say, I love you, I'm not going anywhere, I can feel from you something's going on, what are you feeling right now? Is now there's space open for me to talk about it. And maybe even saying, like, I'm not going to judge you, I want to hear what's coming up. For a lot of women, they're just afraid that what they're thinking isn't normal, or they're going to be too much. That's a big feminine wound. I'm too much.
I'm crazy.
I'm crazy. You're going to think I'm crazy. And we just want to feel like held and supported. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about for you? What would it look like?
Yeah. That's such a good point, because this is something that is worth having a conversation around. And I love that you said give her some time, because the odds are pretty good that she hasn't thought about it.
Yeah.
Because
no one's asked her that.
No one's asked her. And when you're feeling unsafe, you don't want to have to be more aware of what you're doing in that moment. Like, usually our safety mechanisms to create safety for ourselves, these poor coping strategies, are like, hide, run away, shut down, you know?
Yeah. Oh. You're not thinking clearly.
Fort Knox.
This
This is like full lockdown mode. This is not going to be the time that you're going to be doing introspection. So
right.
Ask her the question and give her a couple days, and even preface it with like, hey, I don't need an answer right now, but I noticed that when you shut down, I don't know what's happening, and I'd really be interested to know. Leave it with her.
Totally.
Yeah. Even
things like physical touch can be really powerful. And again, asking her is the most important thing, but touch or co-regulation strategies, like breathing together and sitting together. It's important to me that there's always physical touch during heavy conversation to keep unity.
Yeah. Like for me, I know that, and again, this is going to be different for every woman, so you might ask the one that you're with, but for me, like, my whole body will shut down. I have a pretty strong freeze response that I've had to work through and still work through. So like when we're in the heat of an argument, I go offline. Yeah. My body is just floating around in space. That's what it feels like. So in that moment, I need for my partner to ask me how my body feels, which he knows. Like we've had that conversation. Like, if you notice me floating away, ground me, like plug me back into the ground. Ask me how my body feels, or what I feel in my body, or to be the grounding presence. Like, he sometimes will touch me, but sometimes will just like be heavy enough for both of us that I can just calm back down. So I think it's worth having the conversation, because if nothing else, for your own self-awareness, how you respond in the heat of the moment, the only way that you can navigate that is to know and to work through it together. Come up with a strategy that's going to help bring you both back together.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's important when she does open up, like you briefly mentioned earlier, that you meet her with validation. Because if she opens and says, let me make up a common scenario. Like, I saw you looking at that girl and I felt insecure. Right? Courtney and I are going to do a whole episode on girl brain things, so we will explain what happens when we're doing that. But let's say she says that and you go, oh, that's ridiculous. I'm not looking at her. Like, why are you overreacting like that? She might have been wide open, and now Fort Knox has been reconstructed. Yep. And it is here to stay, baby. Like, it's going to be very hard to disarm that because it was hard enough to squeak out, I feel jealous.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel insecure.
Yeah. And so, you know, I realize this can take a high level of perception, but if what's coming out of her mouth is, I felt jealous when I saw you looking at that other girl, what's the counterpart and the anecdote and the medicine to jealousy? Reassurance. Mm-hmm. I only have eyes for you. I am in love with you. Nobody compares. Oh, okay, great. Mm-hmm. Perfect. Now I'm wide open. Yeah. You know, so also being perceptive about what is she sharing with me? What is she looking for? What would soothe her? So long as it's in integrity and you mean it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Validation. Yeah. Even if you don't agree with what she's saying, and in your brain you're like, this is ridiculous. I wasn't looking at that woman. Keep the focus on growing and connecting the relationship, which is this woman in front of me is needing reassurance. Mm-hmm. Right? Would you add to or change anything about that?
Something to add. That's beautiful. And what just came to me, I love like David Data's work. He talks about being solid and like breathing into your belly and into your whole body, like bringing breath all the way down to your feet. Mm-hmm. And that actually has such a calming presence on the other people around you's nervous system. Like I'll do it sometimes when people are getting heated around me, that I'm grounded. Mm-hmm. And I wrote an article about being like the lightning rod. Like we have to ground into the earth somewhere. Mm-hmm. And not that it's your job, but if she's emotional, the best thing that you can do is to be as grounded as possible. And you can do that just by breathing into your whole body and bringing that kind of like awareness to your physiology. And what that's going to do for her on kind of a deeper level is it puts you in charge of your physiology, which means you're less likely to be reactive. And for a lot of women, there's kind of this programmed fear of when men react, there's some physicality to it. So if she knows that you're 100% in charge of your body, even if she tells you the worst thing, she can guarantee on an emotional kind of like energetic sensory level that you're going to be stable. Does that make sense?
Totally. His physical representation is stability.
Yeah.
Thus, emotionally, she's feeling stable.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he's holding the space.
Exactly. Yes. And her nervous system naturally comes down when you're that steady pull for her. Mm-hmm. The other thing I just remembered, because you brought up one of our favorite teachers, but another concept is not trying to fix it. Like, we're not trying to fix it and give her a solution. Courtney's laughing because it's so true. And we both been met with this where it's like, what? I think women naturally do this with each other really well. I know when Courtney tells me something, she doesn't need me to fix it. I just need to be like, oh my God, Court, I hear you. I'm really sorry that's happening. How are you feeling?
Wow, this is else?
Right.
Anything
What? Tell me more.
What? Wow.
Okay, this is how women function, you guys. We talk about our feelings, and they don't need to be solved. We just want to hear each other. That's it. And it's my understanding that it's not that way for men. And my experience with men has been, well, what's the problem? Let me fix it. What's the problem? Let me fix it. And usually, I don't actually want you to fix it. I want you to hear me and validate me. And that's it. And if I should ask for opinion or what do you think or ask for help, then wonderful, because I know that you're brilliant at that, men. Like, sometimes you are better than us at those problem solving, problem fixing initiatives. But unless we ask, there's a good chance we just want you to be like, I'm sorry, baby, that that's happening, and I feel for you. Like, what else? Tell me more. Or it sounds like this. This is coach speak now, but you know what I mean. They want validation and to be heard.
Yeah. And there's so much that can come out when you open up the space and just keep saying things like, say more about that, or like, what does that mean? Because there's no way to misperceive curiosity. Like, there's a tone that's curious, and then there's a tone that's like judgy curious.
Oh, brilliant.
Like prying. And there's a very distinct difference. Women can hear it. So if you are coming from a place of genuine curiosity, like, I don't understand what's happening for you, but tell me more. Like, say more about that. What's happening? Like, eventually you're going to get to the bottom of it, and she's going to feel like, oh, that's it. That was the thing. And then you might be able to solve the problem there. But until then, she just needs to keep letting it out, sort of like this verbal vomit sometimes.
I was gonna say a balloon that needs to deflate, but vomit is fine.
The balloon, yep.
It is like that. It's like,
yeah.
I can't tell you how I'm feeling until I deflate the entire balloon. And then I'm available for feedback.
Yep.
Until the balloon is deflated, just need to feel seen and heard.
Yep.
Yeah. And the more that, it's interesting, I think the more that I feel safe and heard with a man, the more that I feel seen and heard with a man, the safer I feel.
Yeah.
And all my needs are being met. And now I'm just like putty.
Yep.
Like a big feminine puddle of happiness. I'm safe and I'm heard and I'm seen.
Yes.
And I feel safe to open to you in all the ways.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now I can receive from you. You can win with me. I can dole out points all over the place. Yeah.
Yeah.
So good. So this is a really important skill, men, for you guys to start to hone in on, because when you can hone in on the skill, not that you can manipulate her into giving you points, but you will be moving in that direction faster, which means that you're going to have less drama, less argument time.
Yeah.
And get to the point of things faster, which I know you want.
Right.
So you trying to logic her and rationalize her while she's trying to share her emotions is going to be like fighting fire with gasoline.
And maybe it's, good point. And it might be grounding too for men to know that feelings are not logical.
Yeah.
We know this inherently, I think, as women, and I'm sure there are lots of men who know this too, but generally speaking, we know our feelings aren't logical. They're feelings. The point of feelings is to feel them, not to think them. So, I think that's important to remember too. We are aware of that many times, and we're still trying to figure out, why am I feeling the way that I'm feeling? Yeah. But you become such a safe place for us to land, and a safe container, and it's such a gift when you give us space to open. Feeling safe with you is an incredible gift.
Yeah. Yeah, because then we are like wide open to receive whatever it is that you are planning or wanting to give to us, or all the magic that you've been working behind the scenes to make us happy. We can't express our happiness when we're like caught up in this bundle of unsafety. But happiness is a really vulnerable emotion, and for a lot of people, they're not going to expose their big happy, like full embodied happy yes if they're not feeling safe with you.
Yeah, 100%.
So you get the best out of women when you're able to learn these skills too.
Yeah, we really do, because some pitfalls that I've seen men take, which bring out the wounded feminine that I know you don't want. And if you're not familiar, wounded feminine is like codependent, drama, damsel in distress, helpless, over the top with emotions.
Listen to episode 5.
Yeah, listen to episode 5 so you understand it. But don't try to tell your woman, baby, you're in wounded feminine, because that'll just get yikes. But if you want to minimize that, I'm thinking of some pitfalls that I'm Courtney's laughing. If you want to minimize that, not that we're shaming the wounded feminine, some pitfalls that I've noticed that men will say are things like, you're overreacting. What else? You're making a big deal out of nothing. That's
You're being irrational. You're not making sense right now.
Remove a stake in my heart, please. I know. Their feelings.
Because remember, going back to the beginning, we all have this deep-seated fear of being crazy. And all that you're telling us when you're trying to use logic and rational things against our feelings is, you're right, we're crazy. Now he thinks I'm crazy too.
And I think I'm crazy deep down, and so do you.
And this is my worst fear, and I'm just going to run away even further. Yeah. So now we have no space between us to work through things, because I'm out the door.
Yeah, or you're too much.
Oh, yeah.
Such a deep feminine wound that we're too much. And if you're to say that, You're not going to get the most expressive side of the feminine that you love anymore.
Mm-mm. Not for a while. It might take months to open back up after one of those kind of
Your too much would make me cool. Yeah.
I mean, when I've gotten in moments like that where I felt hurt and didn't know how to express that I was feeling hurt in that moment, it took me, and we're in this work, like we are aware of this stuff, and it definitely took me at least 2 weeks of holding myself to reestablish, like, okay, he didn't mean it, he's safe, I can open back up again.
Yeah. And
it was nothing that he was doing different. He was being safe that time. Like, it just takes a while to warm back up. So,
totally. And there's, respect for that. I also think not talking over her or interrupting her. Because if somebody interrupts or changes the subject, I do not feel heard. And now it's something I would say, like, hey, did you hear what I just said? Because you interrupted me. I would let that person know. I'm uncomfortable with what just happened. But interrupting or talking over is totally going to throw her off from opening because you're not hearing her.
I also want to just put it on the record. I teach this to people in my course that emotions take a while. Like, they are slow by nature. Sort of like honey. Like, they're sweet and amazing, and they don't go fast. If you're wanting someone's emotional truth, the likelihood is that you're going to be patient. You're going to be waiting for that. Because they have to go in and find the truth and let it out. And that's part of creating that space that you talked about earlier, is one of the safest behaviors that men can do is to ask a question. Women too. Women, for you that are listening, this is like safety 101. Ask a question and then be quiet. Cover your mouth. Like, think about creating a space for them to go inside, find what they need, and then come back and bring it to you. Imagine that it had to be like a walking destination, that they were going to get this thing and bring it back to you. And give them some time to accomplish that.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good point. What other, can you think of any other pitfalls that have commonly been said?
Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
Created a tangent there.
I love your tangents. Not to dismiss your tangent.
Thank you. Yeah, I think we covered a couple really good go-tos. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just about not dismissing and just validating, listening. Tell me more is a brilliant phrase to use with anybody, to be honest. Tell me more about that. How did you feel about that? What's coming up for you with that? Anything like that is going to offer more expansion. I know we're talking a lot about emotional safety, but I think this also transfers into intimacy in the bedroom and with making love to your partner. It's hard for women. A lot of my work is around pleasure too, and it's not even possible for a woman to have a cervical orgasm if her heart isn't open. Did you know that? If her heart chakra is not open, she cannot have a cervical orgasm. Yeah, so it really does start with emotional connection for women, and my understanding is for men it can be the opposite. They connect first via sex and then open emotionally, is something that I've heard. I don't know.
I've heard too.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm not a man, so I don't know if that's true. But for women, in my experience, it has been emotional first, and then you can open sexually. And so the more that a woman opens her heart to you, she naturally wants to open her legs to you. And the more safety there is, the easier it becomes for her to communicate, this is what I really like, and this is what really turns me on, and this is what would be really fun to try. The more emotionally safe she feels with you, the more sexually safe she'll feel with you. The more you allow her to be expressive in her emotions, the more expressive she can be in the bedroom because she feels safe.
Great point.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah. It all ties together.
Yeah. And it's the same skills. Same skills.
Yeah. Same with how you were saying, if she's feeling emotional, that he breathes all the way into his root chakra, right? And I think David Data even says breathe all the way into your cock.
Yeah.
Like ground into it. In the bedroom, it's the same way with women. When you're that present, grounded, steady, then she can be expressive and playful and in her sexuality,
Yeah.
When she knows you're not going anywhere.
Yeah. And that she doesn't have to take care of you. That's the other part of that. When you're sturdy and you're giving that energy of sturdiness, the tendency, I will just tell you, for most women, and I think that I can say this in a pretty generalized term, is that we are quite aware of what other people are experiencing by nature. We are naturally turned outward in our like periphery, scanning the scene situation.
Right. And is everyone happy? Is everyone taken care of? Which includes you and the partner in the bedroom.
Yes.
Is what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay.
And so if that is my, thank you. So that if that's my natural like bent, is to be aware of everyone else's needs, me expressing my truth, if I perceive that it's going to cause discomfort for you, is going to go way down if I think that you're not going to handle it well. That's not coming out of my mouth, because I know that you can't unsay hurtful things. You can't unhear painful things. And so the best thing you can do if you want to create a sense of safety and trust with your woman is to kind of be like a tree, like really root down, breathe into your body, breathe into your balls, breathe into your feet. I know this sounds really weird, but these techniques are actually legitimate ways to breathe presence and awareness all through your body. And when you can kind of tie it to a certain type or a certain part, you're able to actually be more present and more available with all of your senses. So it's almost like the cliffs, you know, like the waves crashing into the cliffs. That's what it's going to be like. Like the waves can crash all day and they're not going to move the cliff.
And the woman is the wave.
The woman is the wave.
Is the cliff, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's such a good point. We feel your sturdiness and lack of. And I don't know that all women have the words for it in the moment of what they're feeling from a man, that he's sturdy or unsturdy. But what we can feel is our body closing or opening. We can feel ourselves contracting or opening, because women are very energetic and we're really perceptive. And I know that men can be as well. But for women, it's like, really the biggest green flag is, how do I feel when I'm with him? Do I feel safe? Do I feel seen? Do I feel heard? Do I feel like I'm opening?
Yeah.
And if your presence is wavering, or if all your energy is in your head and you're disconnected from the rest of your body, she feels it. She might not be able to verbalize it, but she does feel it. So this is a very juicy clue.
Right?
Okay.
You're welcome.
The more grounded you are, presence, eye contact, like touching her is grounding her. The loudest thing in a room to a woman is what's touching her.
Yeah.
So put your hand on her, breathe into your cock, look her in the eyes, be present. This woman is going to be putty in a really consensual, willing way.
Right. Yes.
In a non-manipulated way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, such a good point. And it won't take as long. I think that's the other thing. I don't want to set you up to think like, well, I'm touching her knee and I'm breathing into
and I'm staring her down.
I'm breathing into my balls and I'm looking her in the eye. And she's not putty yet. Like, it may take, a couple different back and forths of like, wow, how did that feel?
Yeah.
Breathe in. Like, breathe in what she's saying as if that is the oxygen that you need to survive. Breathe it in. Breathe it all the way down through your body. Plant your feet on the ground, and then respond. That is going to be the most, my body softens just thinking about that. Like, my stomach feels open, I'm not sucking in, like all the minor things that we do to just create safety within ourselves. Like, I'm just gonna hold myself back a little bit.
Yeah, you tense up, hold your breath.
Yeah. And this is beautiful too, because we were talking about this like when we were both early on in dating, of like when you can do this with a person, their physiology relaxes, which means they get more oxygen to their brain, which creates a high sensation like they've never experienced before. And if they start associating that with you, like, you're building a really solid foundation. And we talked last week about the attraction psychology, which we're not into, but on a visceral level, like if we're starting to look for this feeling of safety as a potential partner, it's a really good indicator if I feel real safe around you and I associate that with you.
Oh, 10 out of 10. I mean, feeling safe with a man is the biggest turn on. Seriously, when you feel emotionally safe and physically safe with them, it's very easy to open your body to him also. I mean, it's just the biggest turn on there is. And actually, I'm not even available for turn on unless I feel safe.
You aren't. I think that's so important. I don't think men really realize that.
Yeah. Women are not available for turn on unless we feel safe.
Yeah. That need has to be met first. And it's not something that we can help or override. A lot of women will override it, but it's not something, it's a very biological thing for good reason. You're not going to be like surrendering in pleasure if there's a pack of wolves outside your camp. Like,
right.
No.
Yeah. And yes, the empowered feminine woman is going to require feeling safe.
Yep.
That's what I'll say.
Yeah.
If you look at wounded archetypes, then it gets real messy. But we're talking about a beautiful, empowered feminine queen here who's just working through some things like a human being does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah, and I think we got through a lot of the things. The last piece is, I want to really toss this to the women.
Yeah.
Because we opened, or towards the beginning, said it is on her to let down her guard.
Yeah.
Like, that drawbridge is only lowered from the inside, and it's the same thing. If you're wanting to create a connection, women, it is on you to figure out what you need to feel safe. And the more that you can give that information to an empowered man early on, that is gold to him. Like, he is going to create all the safety he can if you set him up with the right information. And same thing is true if you're in a triggered state. Like, if you can sit with the question we just asked of, what do you need when you're feeling triggered? What would you most like to have? Do you need a big bear hug? Do you need to be touched on the knee? Do you need someone to breathe with you belly to belly? Do you need to sit on your partner's lap? Like, do you need your hair rubbed? Like, what is it that you need to come back to calm? If you can figure that out, you're halfway through the battle. Like, you really, all you have to do at that point is to share that, which can feel scary on its own. But you're really setting yourself up to win by asking for what you need.
Yeah. Oh, such a good point.
Yeah.
And it's always going to feel kind of vulnerable to reveal your heart, especially at deeper levels. No matter how much of this work Courtney and I talk to each other about this. We've done this work for so long, and we know how to verbalize to our partners, this is what I need in these moments. And they can do all those things, and I still feel nauseated when I'm sharing really vulnerable things. But the key for me, and maybe this will be medicine for the women listening, was to not make the feeling of vulnerability wrong, but an indication that we're going in the right direction. It's just that I'm doing something new. I'm revealing my heart. I trust this man in front of me, given that that's the truth, right? Yes. This is an EM. I adore him. I trust him with my heart. And I'm actually going to choose to believe that he can hold me in this. And if he can't and I'm wrong, I'll be okay. I'm going to have my own back. But right now I'm going to believe in this man. And I'm going to show him my cards. Because that's really what intimacy and healthy love is about, right? Really revealing your heart.
Yeah.
Especially when you feel like, I'm sweating, my voice is shaking, I can't make this come out, but I am going to breathe into my belly and trust the person in front of me.
Yeah. So good.
Yeah, so good. Is there more you want to add to how men can help women open up?
Yes. One last thing is this energetic bubble that Rory Ray taught me, which I think is genius. And I think it's helpful for men to know, because if there's two people, like, standing face to face inside a bubble, and one is leaning back, then there's only space for the other person to lean forward. They can't both be leaning forward or they'll hit heads. And there's a certain amount of agreed upon distance. And so I think that it's important. I don't know that they'll be able to know what I'm doing with my hands, but it's important to know, because to calm the woman down, she will actually feel calmer being leaned back, which means you are the one that's going to be leaning forward. So anything that you can do, even on an energetic level, to lean in when she's feeling vulnerable, and that might be a really good cue to think, like, leaning in is like leaning forward at the table, asking questions, leaning in conversationally, leaning in emotionally when she's sharing, like, notice with your face, like, be engaged and be the one that's leaning in, and it will really create a lot of safety for her without having to do much else.
Wow, I really hope everyone made it to that end tip, because That is 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
I was listening to you say that, like, yes, that is exactly what I need. I'm going to add that to my list now when I tell someone, what do I need? Because what the felt experience of the woman is, I'm feeling really wobbly in that vulnerable moment. If he's leaning in physically to the table, if he's asking questions, if he's touching me, physically leaning in, oh, great, he's holding the space. Okay, it's actually safe for me to be in my emotion, and he's not going to dismiss the feelings that are coming up for me and move the conversation along. He's committed to hearing what's coming up for me right now. He's going to hold this space. He's leaning in, which means I can lean back and just share what's coming up.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant tip.
Yeah.
You are like her steady rock when she's feeling vulnerable.
Such a great, yes.
So when you're a rock, it's such a gift, and it's so easy for us to open because we're like, where's the ground?
Yeah.
This is scary.
Yeah.
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 So good.
Yeah. So good.
If you masculine energy people have questions or specific scenarios that you want to share, or you'd like our feedback and our thoughts on, email us or DM us. And I'm happy to say we did get a few guest requests.
Yes.
We had an email come in from a man who wants to come on the show around
So
masculinity.
exciting.
Yeah, so we've been getting, and my clients have been talking about how much they love the show.
Love it.
So, and I know you had someone.
I get reach out all the time saying, thank you for putting this out.
Yeah.
Love it.
So we love that.
Yeah, it makes our day. Oh my gosh.
Seriously.
It feels so good because we just love doing it. And so to get feedback that it's helpful is like, yay, someone else is enjoying what we're enjoying too.
Totally. So if you guys have questions, you can email us or just DM us on Instagram. I'm at Building Bree, BRI. Courtney, your handle is?
Yep. Courtney_Shand, SCHAND.
So you can DM us or you can email us. What's your website, Courtney?
Yeah, CourtneyShand.com.
Okay, great. Perfect.
And I have a message spot on there. So you can write a message or you can find my email on there and just shoot me an email.
Great. Yeah. My website's it's at Building Bree. It's buildingbree.com. Same thing. And there's a contact place there too you can check out. So
Perfect.
You can get in touch with us there. Tell us what's on your mind. We're happy to do Q&A episodes.
We would love that.
Yeah.
But let's say they want more than just the Q&A episode. What do you have going on?
What do we have
What containers
going on?
can you create for people?
Right now, I'm loving one-to-one coaching.
Yeah, I saw that on your Instagram the other day.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. So I'm doing a lot of 90-minute intensives with people.
Okay.
I'm doing 6-week intensives. And then for my women who are really all in, I have 4-month containers as well. Love long-term coaching. But this is really for women who are wanting to embrace their feminine energy and orgasmic manifestation and learning how to be healthy relationship partners so they can scale their businesses to 6 figures, multiple 6 figures, usually the range of clients that I work with, and attract in healthy masculine partners and then navigate the relationship with them as well. A lot of my clients come from a background of trauma or narcissistic abuse because that's what I had been through. And so you are safe with me if you come with that background. I'm happy to support you and I totally get it and can help you in that process of rewiring and attracting in really healthy partners going forward. So one-to-one is what I've got open. I'll put links in the show notes.
Perfect.
Courtney,
Yes.
What do you have open?
Yeah, I've got a couple different options. So I am opening up spaces for coaching clients that are men. Super excited for that one-to-one option. I have a program for that is kind of a higher level container in terms of content and one-to-one coaching. So you coach through the series there. And it's kind of the comparable information to my feminine program, which is Arise. Both of them are really centered around feeling grounded and these practices that help you feel stable and more open and therefore allow people to feel safe and sturdy with you, whether you're a woman or a man. So when you feel safe and sturdy with yourself, you can show more and reveal more of your authentic truth and find the right person. So I've got male and female version of that for coaching containers. And for the month of December, I'm running a super good sale, in my opinion, on my program for healthy eating, which I don't talk about on here very much, but to heal.
She's also a dietitian.
I'm a dietitian.
Okay, badass.
By training, that is my training. So I have a couple programs that are specific to nutrition and diet. Mm-hmm. One of them that I am really proud of is Nourished, and it's healing the relationship that we have with food. And it's a lot of similar kind of mindset shifts around things that are the most common roadblocks for people when it comes to long-term weight loss or just health in general. A lot of women that I speak with have really unhealthy dynamics when it comes to taking care of themselves. And so we really go in and kind of clean that up. So I have that on self-study, very deeply discounted, to set you up for the new year so that you can get your mindset straightened out before you start setting some New Year's resolutions. So that's probably the 3 ways that you can work with me right now.
I love that.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I love it. And if you love this episode, women or men, please share it with somebody that you love. Yeah. Like, that just means the world to us. More than a review or anything else, if you will send this to one person that you think will benefit, we want this information in the hands of good-hearted men who want to win with women and women who want to learn to open to men. So thank you for all of you who have been sharing, and we appreciate you. And if it feels aligned and you feel like sharing, we greatly appreciate you.
Absolutely.
All right. We love you. We'll see you in the next episode.